Well, I'm on the farm today, and these round bales that I made from my early videos, these round bales you see right in here, and then the ones down on the lower half of this field, those down there were made a day earlier than these, but they've been sitting out here for a couple of days. I haven't tried to put them in the barn. I got other stuff I want to jam in there first, but I got a handheld moisture meter here, and this says John Deere, but it's really an AgraTronix. It's really an AgraTronix DHT-1. The John Deere number is SW16136. And I bought this thing a number of years ago. Never really used it. I thought I'd use it on squares when they were just sitting in my wagon. I bought it long before I bought the round baler, I believe. And but it's really probably more suitable for round bales than squares. Anyway, I dug this thing out. I found it and dug it out, and I thought I'd come out here and give it a try on these round bales and see what I got. So in as much as these things have been sitting here a little while, I would think that there might be a little bit of a sweat going on, but I do know that the hay was so dry that I don't know how much these things could heat up if they wanted to. Now, just a few things about this meter. The John Deere price, as I recall, was the same or lower. It seemed like I asked the guy at the parts counter, could they do any better, and he said yeah. And I can't remember the warranty, it's long gone out, but it uses a 9-volt battery, which goes in right back here. And so this meter only measures down to 14.5% moisture. It measures up to 30%. I guess maybe if you're doing silage, actually it measures to 45%. I guess if you're doing silage, maybe you want to know when the moisture is that high if you're going to wrap it. But it's got an 18-inch probe on it. I think there's 24 and maybe 30, but when I measure, 18 inches comes back to here. This is a newer, updated model. Used to be, as I understand it, these meters would average the temperature, but what they do now, they don't average a temperature. You're supposed to probe these things like 5 times, which I'm not going to do on this video, and then take an average. But what the manual recommends is you probe it, and like every 6 inches, 5 or 6 inches across the bale, and then you take the highest reading, the worst case scenario, as far as temperature goes, and I don't know, maybe moisture. I don't have the manual memorized. So the another thing about this meter is it's calibrated on 100% alfalfa, and per the manual, if you're in mixed grass hay, or probably for that matter, just grass hay, straight Timothy or orchard grass, I would think, that the readings are going to be higher at 20%. They're going to be higher if it shows, as I read the manual, if you read 20% on here, that's going to be 5 points higher than what it would be if it was alfalfa, and that's simply because the difference in hay. So if I read 20%, if I read the manual correctly, then what I'm going to see in grass hay is really 15%. So even though it goes down to 14.5, I suppose if I read 14.5, it would mean that the bale would be 9.5 in reality. But anyway, I'm going to take a few temperature readings and also humidity readings on here and see what I got. So the manual tells you to go in here at about a 45-degree angle or 90-degree to vertical when you take your readings, and it says to go in 12 inches. So I believe, like I said, when I bought this, I had square bales in mind, and I didn't want some crazy long probe for square bales. But per the manual, this probe is just fine. Now, one thing about it, like I said, I don't, like I may have said, I don't have the manuals memorized, but they're online and they're free. You can just go in and the AgraTronix or John Deere manuals, and they've got them, and they read identical, really. So let me put this probe in here. Let me turn this thing on. And what you're looking for when you turn it on is you want this thing to read 14.5. I don't know. You want this thing to read 14.5. I don't know if you can see that or not. The glare's really bad. So, and that's in free air. So let me set that thing up here like that. And right now I'm reading moisture. And I hope I don't drop this thing. And I'm just going to take a reading from the from right about here, and I mean, you can tell that is a tight bale. So I'd say I'm probably in a good 12 inches. And then this probe here, you just give it about 2 minutes to stabilize. And I won't keep you for 2 minutes. Right now it's saying 14.6. So in grass hay, if that reading were for real, now it's 14.5. But that would indicate to me that the moisture in this round bale is less than 10%. And and that's because it's mixed grass hay versus 100% alfalfa. So what I'm after here is I want to see something that's less than 18%, because when I stick these bales in my barn, I don't want anything catching on fire. Now, that was moisture, but there's also temperature. So let me switch it to temperature. So right now, and again, you're supposed to wait 2 minutes for each one of these readings. 81 degrees. So not much of a sweat taking place on these bales, or temperature rise. And but this field right in here, this little spot right in here, was extremely dry when I baled it. And it was dry enough that it caused me concern about the hay going into pickup and jamming up like I had last spring. But let me move down. I'm going to check some of these other bales, and I won't put that on this video. And then I'll move down to that lower part. Those bales have been baled for several days now, and if they're undergoing a sweat, it's ongoing right now. And before I forget, one thing about these round bales, I mentioned in a previous video that I saw a guy, that's a goodly ways from here, with a John Deere 330 round baler. And he was cranking out the nicest looking round bales. I mean, I don't know how a new one could have made a 4x4 bale any nicer than what he was making. And I saw him, and he was baling, and I didn't want to stop and bother him. So the next day I drove by, and it was cool, and it was actually trying to mist a little bit of rain. And the guy wasn't there, so I took the liberty to get out of my car and walk down in this field, and just kind of looked his bales over and his twine location, because obviously that's been the topic of my videos for a while on this John Deere 335 round baler. But one thing I noticed was to the touch, even though it was cold outside, probably down in the 50s, it was very warm to the touch. And his bales were really green, and I don't think his hay was cured. Maybe that doesn't matter on cow hay. I'm sure that's what he was feeding. But for a round bale to heat up is real, and really any hay. But I do remember that, and I didn't see any like steam coming off of them, but it was definitely warm to the touch, and that was just the day after. So I have had square bales that have caramelized on the inside that I've set aside, just sitting on the ground by themselves, and you open them up, and it's like they're really hot. And one of my boys was with me one time, and I was like, let's get this thing out of the barn. And I thought that maybe it could catch on fire. I suppose anything's possible. So if I can get down below, if I can get to 14.5% on this meter, even though it doesn't tell me it's 8% or 7 or 5 or 4, I'm okay with that. If this thing's showing 14.5, regardless of the alfalfa versus mixed grass hay reading discrepancy, then I'm feeling pretty good. So this is kind of a safety device for me, instead of installing something onto my John Deere round baler, at least for now. So just to show you here, I haven't gone down to the lower part of the field yet, but I walked up to the next bale. This one's reading in this spot at 15.5. I don't know if you can see that or not. And then the temperature, let's say an 88. A few minutes ago it was like 93. So like I said, you have to wait 2 minutes, but it's not 88 degrees out here. It's more like 68 degrees. It might be 72 degrees. I really don't know for sure, but clearly there's some sweating going on that's going to accelerate the temperature on this bale a little bit. And when they talk about 5 points, that's with respect to humidity only. I don't see where it says anything about temperature. Could it be a little hotter because it's just sitting in the sun? Maybe. I don't know. But what I do know is it's not saying 120 or 140 or some crazy number that would cause me to be concerned if and when this goes in the barn. So let me continue on. I'll come back. So I'm down here in the lower portion of this west field, and I'm going to check these two bales right here. And there's my John Deere 335 round baler, and I just left it right there. We're probably going to need it again down on our low ground, but I left it right there for now. And it's not going to rain. It's not going to rain for like another week. But this bale right over here is the last bale I made. And if you recall from an earlier video, I had stopped, I guess when I dumped this bale, there was a partial windrow, from about right here on up, and I just felt like it had gotten too damp. The moisture was coming on from the dew. So if any of them are going to be a little toasty, it's going to be this bale right here. So let me take this moisture meter right here and give it a stick in this bale and see what I got. All right, so I've got this thing in there. And like I said, this is the last bale I made before I knocked off in the evening. It's been 3 days since I made this round bale. And right now what I'm seeing is 23.9. So if at 20% there's a 5% deduction from this, then I would say 24, probably 19% moisture in this bale. But moreover, at 3 days, if there's a sweat, this bale is going through it right now. So that temperature might climb a little bit. I mean, that humidity might climb a little bit. I think it'll go down. So let me check the temperature next, and I'll let it average out, and then I'll come right back. I shouldn't say average. I'll let it stabilize for a couple minutes, and then I'll come back. So the bale temperature on this one is around 70 degrees. And one more thing about the moisture content. The manual says the tighter the bale, the higher the moisture. And it's all I can do to push that probe in there. Sometimes I think I'm going to break that handle off. These are some tight bales. To be such an old baler, it really packs the hay in here tight. So this bale looks good to me. I don't fear putting this thing in the barn. I'll check them again another day. By the way, this bale temperature is lower than the bale temperature up there on that plateau, if you recall from my earlier part of this video. And I don't remember if it was 81, but 70 degrees. So maybe the sweat's underway in that one, but I guess it would have to be for that temperature to be elevated like that, or maybe the sun is just coming down on it. But I don't think that's the case. Not down deep inside that bale. Okay, so this bale would have been the second to the last. It's showing 22.4. If I took 5 off that, what's that? 17.4. And if I go to the temperature, it'll have to stabilize for a little bit, but 72 degrees, which is similar to what that bale over there is. But I'll continue to look at it. But what I'll do from here is I'm going to go to the first bale that I made, which I think is over there, and we'll take a look, see at it, and then wrap this video up. All right, so this bale is showing 26, and again, it's a tight bale, and if I go by the guidelines and take 5 points off of this, it's 20%, over 20%. You know, worst case, I'm probably at 21%. Let's see what the temperature is. So 73 degrees. So whatever's going on inside this bale, it's not translating into heating up like the bales up there on top were. So again, 3 days since I made these bales. So what I need to do with this meter is just kind of get a good you know, get a good feel for just kind of get a good feel for how to use it and when to use it. I did not have it with me the day we baled hay, so that would probably be good to know, you know, as soon as you dump a bale, what you got, so you can decide to knock it off or keep going. I will say that in regards to temperature and mold, I mean, obviously we want perfect hay coming out of here, but what we got is really cow and goat hay. Here is not horse quality hay, and you know, if it heats up just a little bit and there's a little bit of dust inside, I don't think that's going to hurt a cow or a goat. And so, and then when you couple that pound for pound, the price of a round bale compared to square bales, we're probably looking at as much as 50% reduction in price for the same poundage, assuming you're selling bale for bale. the price of a square bale versus the price of a round bale. So when I take the weight of the squares and put it into the round bale, it doesn't paint a very pleasant picture. But nonetheless, I will say that the round bale experience was good, because I came out here and I didn't have to wrestle any wagons around. When I do go to load these things, it'll be with a front end loader, and physically on an older guy like myself, this is kind of a nice touch. So I think we're going to see more round bales in this hay operation as I continue on into my senior citizenship. I want to be careful about how hard I torture myself. I'm ready to die, but not over a hay bale. So probably be more round bales in the future. Even with the minimal revenue of a round bale, it's probably still better than running a bush hog across the field and receiving no revenue. So that's it. The John Deere moisture tester. This is a SW16136. It's the same as a AgraTronix DHT-1. It's a tool. You know, it's a tool here on the farm to kind of see what's going on with you know, with the hay, and I suppose more information is better than less. So I'm gonna leave it right there. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.